us took up gardening and started inviting plants into our homes during the pandemic. Did you see that? Okay, yeah, it happened a lot. I'm joined now by Barbara K. Levin. She's from Riverside County Master Gardeners Program. So thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, so we're going to talk about some common questions that we're getting, just kind of the basics for beginners when it comes to gardening, especially in the desert. So the first one I have for you is, why aren't my succulents thriving? Everyone loves succulents. They're so trendy right now. And actually, I have this one right here. I don't know if you can get this, Ruben. This one was clipped from my mother's garden, and my mom has a green thumb. I'm going to call her out. She doesn't like to admit it. And then she brought it here to the desert, and as you can see, it's looking really sad, okay? So why isn't my succulent thriving?
This succulent actually doesn't do well in the desert, so she's growing this here.
Oh.
This is awesome. She does have a green thumb. She's going to have to admit it.
Okay.
And the weather guide just told us why. Right now, nothing's truly thriving. It's surviving.
Oh.
And if you have succulents, they should be on the north side of your house.
Okay.
It's where they get full shade, but it's still bright light.
Okay.
And mine are doing fine in that area. If you have them on a metal table outside, move them off. They get really hot. It kind of cooks them from underneath. I learned that the hard way. This plant right here, it's stretching in the middle, and the color's changing. That one, it's asking for more sun. If you have succulents in your house, normally you have them near a window. In the summer, you might want to pull them back a little bit so they're not getting hot. But when it reaches like this, it starts to stretch out. That means it's looking for more sun.
Okay, so
more light.
That's Tolly, our producer's succulent. She needs more light. Okay,
more light.
So my next one, that we just basically scratch the surface of succulents because people love them. Yeah, people love them. All right, so when's the best time to plant a garden in the desert? This one's a popular one. I tried to plant tomatoes this year. It was an epic fail, mainly because the insects got to them.
Did you plant them in the spring?
Yes.
That's what the biggest mistake in the desert everybody makes. You grow up hearing plant after the last frost. In the desert, no. You plant after the last, I tell everyone, the last burn, the last blaze. So it used to be the early October, but with climate change, it's more late October now because it's still so hot.
Okay.
But yeah, if you get your tomatoes in the ground by the end of October, you'll have a good crop.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That I read about that, but my mother, once again, with the green thumb, came in, you know, she doesn't live here, came in and was like, you're going to have tomatoes. And then kind of, well, then the caterpillars got to them. So
yeah,
that's what it
the
was.
horned worm.
Yep.
Yeah, those are awful.
Yeah.
They're evil. They can take a plant down.
They did, yeah. And I threw them to the birds. I said, have at it, birds. All right. What are the easiest desert garden plants? I think I might have a theory to this because I have a couple that are thriving in my yard. Those are the aloe.
Yes.
They're really easy.
Easiest thing to grow in the desert is weeds.
Oh gosh, yes.
Turn around and they grow great.
Absolutely.
But aloes, agaves, your apuntias, the cactus, the round ones, those are all, they're not native, but they're fine here and they do real well. I grow herbs. My rosemary, sage, and oregano, great all summer long. Yeah, there's a lot of different plants you can grow in the summer that will do just fine.
And they're easy. How much do you have to water like an herb, if you think that?
Every day.
Every day. Okay.
Oh yeah. No, mine are on the sprinkler system, so they get. And I water very, very early, like at 5, and then not again until like 9, so nothing gets burned. Because you don't want water hitting your plants during the day when the sun's bright. Most of my watering I do late in the evening.
Got it.
Like after the sun goes down.
Awesome. Okay, those are good pointers too. And then my last question is, what are your favorite plants, Barbara, to add color to a garden? Perennials, annuals in the desert, something simple, something that anyone really can enjoy.
Perennials and annuals you want to mix. Because perennials, they're going to reseed themselves and come back every year, but they have a shorter bloom time. So they'll bloom for a month here. And then if you have annuals, you can mix them up. For the desert, I think Master Gardeners always recommend Coachella Valley Water District's Lush and Efficient book. It's a great book just to look through, but every single plant in there grows well in the desert.
Awesome.
So it's an excellent resource.
Okay, so don't just gravitate towards the prettiest thing at Lowe's, actually research. Okay.
No, and the big box stores are great, but they're going to sell you tomatoes in July.
Yeah.
If you go to the smaller places, molars especially, they're not going to sell you tomatoes when you can't plant them.
Yeah.
So, and you'll see what's growing there. If you go to Morton's Botanical Gardens or Molars, they have succulents growing. They have all kinds of stuff growing in the summer.
Yeah.
So look at your local places, because they'll really show you what's out there.
Yeah, and they know what they're talking about too. All right.
Absolutely.
And then this wasn't one of the questions, but we were talking about this before we got on here. This is, I'm so glad that our producer brought in plants just for decoration here, but then she said, this one's sad. What happened to her? And you knew right away. You said
it needs more light. And these are really good low light plants, but they also want water maybe once a month or twice a month in the summer. They don't like a lot of water.
Okay.
And you'll see these Sansevieras, people will plant them outside in full-on sun.
Wow.
And they look awful. They're yellow, but they keep growing. So it's a hard plant because it'll do well. But if you overwater it, it flops over like that.
You said that it maybe needs to go outside for a little bit, and then
it would be fine in a shaded area.
Okay.
But yeah, it's probably got a little too much water because it's.
Yeah, I think she thought it needed more water because it was sad looking, and then the dog got to it, that kind of thing. But that's a whole nother story, the animals getting to it. All right, well, thank you for stopping by. That was great. Like I said, we just scratched the surface to all of the little desert plant questions.
Absolutely. There's so much
You
more.
might be getting bombarded right now on Facebook with questions.
What do I do?
Yeah, right, exactly. You can always contact Barbara through the Master Gardeners program through Riverside County. If that information was on your screen just a little bit ago, to get in touch with them. They're great, and they offer free information for you and your garden. All right, thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much.
We'll be